All right, well, welcome to today's client support webinar. Today is March 30th, 2022. Great to have everybody here. If you're watching the recording, that means you're probably on our YouTube channel, so I want to welcome you there as well. All right, just a few quick administrational items before we jump in to the material today. First thing I have to go over, of course, are the risks involved in trading. But like I always say, without that risk, there is no opportunity. So the two really go hand in hand. We just want to make sure you're aware of the risks in trading. We deal in a realm of probabilities whenever we make a trade in the markets, but it is possible to lose some or all of your money trading the markets, especially if you don't use risk control. So that's a really important thing to know how to do. And of course, trade with money you can afford to risk. And always run ideas and trade ideas past your financial advisor or whoever manages your money. I think if you do that, you'll stay on the right side. All right, now I've written several books, one dealing with money management. Jean's gonna come on at the end here. I've just written a new mini book on money management, so I want her to talk a little bit about it. It's on Amazon, and she's gonna cover everything about the book, but I've also written other books on technical analysis that you can check out as well. And of course, I deal with the ultimate trading system, which is the trading system I put together over the last 30 plus years of trading the markets. And that's the ART system, the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI, along with our scanners and our risk control software. All right, so let me come out of here. And there are some things I want to cover here. And first thing, Ben Lewis says, good morning. Good morning to you, Ben. How are you? All right, and no problems. Great to have you back. A lot of traders will trade the markets, and then they get caught up in their, own situation, whether it's a job or life or so forth. And so they take some time off and come back. So the nice thing is when you buy our software, you get a lifetime license, so you can always come back. All right, so great to have you back. All right, a couple things here I wanted to go over. I got an email from Bernard Green. So Bernard, if you're watching the recording, which I hope you are, you had a question on the market analyzer scanner inside NinjaTrader. So that is this particular device up here, which is where we have all our scanners loaded. Now, one of your questions had to do with how do I add a new list onto the market analyzer? Well, first of all, one of the things I want you to know is the market analyzer is a window basically that is independent of the other windows on NinjaTrader. So that's step one. And the tabs are down here now because I just enlarged this, so you can check that out. And basically what we like to do is set up different tabs for different types of things we look at. For example, when I trade the futures markets, I like to trade the micros. So I have these all set up and scanning on a 1 minute time frame. If I want to take a look at indexes, I have these set up, and these are all scanning on the daily time frame. And I have cryptos, I have real estate ETFs, and the list go on. I have YouTube watch lists, YouTube picks, and so forth. So the scanner is a great way to keep track of some of your favorite markets that you like to trade, or if you want to load the entire like NASDAQ 100 or S&P 500 or Dow 30, you can do that, and then using the scanner, find out which ones seem to be the best. And of course, those can go on a watch list because you can create a tab for a watch list as well. So a couple things you need to know about the scanner though. Each tab is independent of the other tab. And so one of the nice things about the scanner is when you create a new tab, we're going to do that now. You click on this plus sign right down here. Now, if you don't have that plus sign or have the ability to create a tab, then you might want to reach out to NinjaTrader and see why you can't do that. You might not have the right license or whatever, okay? But normally, most people can create an additional tab. So you click on here. That brings up a brand new scanner, and we have defaulted it with our scans, but you can default the new scanner to bring up any scans you want. Now, before you add the instruments, which is over here on the far left-hand side, the first thing you have to do is decide what instruments you're going to load, and what time frame you want to scan, because the time frame can be a variable. For example, if I'm a day trader, I'm obviously not going to want to scan weekly charts. It's too long, too far out. Instead, I might want to scan maybe a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, depending on how quick I am day trading. So the scan time frame is a variable you need to set. So let's just write that down for a minute, the variables. Let's call it V for variables. One is the instruments, okay? The other one is the time frame. Once you've decided on the instruments and the time frame, then you can go ahead and label the actual market analyzer tab to whatever you want. For example, if you notice on some of my tabs, for example, I have the micro futures, which I day trade, labeled as a 1-minute time frame. That's why, that way, when I go to that tab, not only do I know that's the micro futures, but I know exactly what time frame I'm scanning. So I think that's really important. For me, if I don't put a time frame in, that means I'm scanning the daily. But you may want to add the word daily. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can add on there. All right, in order to change the name of the tab, what you do is take your arrow, go over the text in the tab, right click, and choose rename. That's going to bring up a box where you can actually rename the tab. And the tab name is located right here. And this @ function is the default that NinjaTrader uses, because that is coded to give it the word market analyzer. But instead, what we can do is we can erase that by highlighting it and click delete and type it. I'll put test, and then why don't we put daily? So now I know on this test tab, that's the name it will be. And when I click, you'll see that it changes the name to test daily. So then the next thing I want to do is actually make sure the time frames that I'm scanning is set to daily. So I right click anywhere on the scanner, go to columns, left click, and it brings up the columns window. Then I want to go into each of the scanners, which is the Trade Confirmer, the OWL, PTF, TLM, Elliott Wave if you have it, and the Turbo if you have that. So it depends on what scanners that you purchased from us and which ones you're using. So then you want to highlight, take your cursor, go down to Configured, go to the Trade Confirmer and highlight that here. And it brings up all the settings over here called Properties. So I have this highlighted down here, and that brings up here. So let's do that again. So when I highlight that, it brings up these settings. And then the next thing you want to check here, very simply, is this area here called the type and the value. Notice I have this already set up for a daily scan, and it's scanning 1 day at a time. So that's what you want for daily scans. If it was a minute, I'd change it to a minute and then type in, if I wanted 5-minute scans, that way. So that would match a 5-minute chart. And you have to do that for every particular scanner that you have loaded here. So here I'm clicking on the OWL, and I have that preset for daily. Trade Confirmer, PTF. So that's what you do. And when you get it the way you want, you click OK, and it closes. Now, the next thing we got to do is add the symbols. And so you right click and put Add Instruments. Now you can add the Dow 30, you can add futures markets and indexes, whatever you want to do, the NASDAQ 100 or the S&P 500. Now, a couple things I want to tell you before you do this is that you have to make sure you have the data for the instruments you're loading. For example, a lot of people will be using data from TD Ameritrade because they use the Thinkorswim charting platform. The problem is they try to load futures. Well, there's no futures data on TD Ameritrade, it's just stocks. So you're not going to get any data for futures. So you have to make sure that you are loading data that you have stocks for. And if you're using, for example, the free end of day kinetic, well, you can load all the stocks you want in the scanner for a daily scan, but it will not be able to scan intraday timeframes because end of day is not real-time intraday, okay? So that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and do it. So let's right-click here, add instruments, and let's go ahead down and just load all the Dow 30s. So I select all. All right, now you'll notice that all 30 stocks are loaded here, and we just have to wait a little bit until they actually start loading in the scanner. And you have to give it a little time for the data to get into NinjaTrader and for the scans to be performed. So depending on how fast your internet connection is, depending on the hardware you're using, how new your computer is, how much memory it has, and how many scans you're doing, that's going to determine how long it takes to load. And usually during the initial load, it can take a little bit, okay? But here it is all loaded. And there you're set, okay? And so that's it, all right? And so now I've added a tab and I have a daily scan. Now, if I want to change the scan to a different time frame, then you right-click, go to columns again, and that brings up all the scanners that are loaded on this lower left-hand area. And then you have to highlight each one, and that brings up the properties window over here, which are the settings. And then you need to check or change these particular time frames if you want to, okay? So that's just kind of a quick way of knowing how to add a tab in the market analyzer. Chances are, if we set this up for you, we've already got all the scanners ready to go. You just have to basically decide what time frame and then load the instruments. All right, now, if I want to keep this, that's fine. If I want to close it, the tab, and get rid of it, I just hit close tab and it will go away, okay? So that is the information I think, Bernard, you needed to know in order to load a tab on the market analyzer. All right, so I appreciate you emailing that in. Okay, so let's move on here. All right, so let me go here. Ben, quick question. How do I turn off the ART voice alerts? I'm fine with the alert pop up on the screen. What platform are you using? Is the first question, Ben, for you on that. Because that depends on how I'm going to answer the question. Because every platform has a little bit different way in which that's done. Are you using TradeStation, NinjaTrader? Okay, so let's go to TradeStation. And I happen to have that loaded. Give me a second so I can find what I did with it. Okay, so here's TradeStation. All right, so what you do is you right-click on the chart, you go to Studies, and you go down to Edit Studies. And now, on the software that you have, the signals are generated on both the ART pyramids and the ART reversals only. There's no signals on the OWL, PTF, TLM, or ERI. And what you do is you go to the ART pyramids, highlight it, and then click on Customize. And then here are the settings. Now I have mine turned off, okay? Now, this information is also on the forum, inside the VIP client area. That's that area you log into. If you go to the forum and go under technical questions, it will be there, technical analysis. Go find it. But basically what you want to do is turn the sound off. This is for the pyramids, and the voice off. Now, it's very important in TradeStation that you do it exactly as you see it. It has to have quotation marks around the word off, and the O has to be a capital. So just like you see it here. Okay? Now, that's for the pyramids. The settings are a little different to turn off the reversals. The other thing is you have to do this on every chart. Now, if you want this to be the default, then make this the default by clicking here. And that way, whenever you bring up a new chart, it will be off. Now, one exception to that, if you've created a template, then you need to create a new or update that template with the new default settings. And in order to do that, what you would do is set this the way you want it, click default, and then click OK. But now you also need to do it for the reversals as well. So you go to reversals, customize, and here are the sound settings on that. So you turn, the settings are a little different. You turn it to false, off, again with the quotes, okay? So it's a little different. So the sound goes to false on these settings. All right, and that's how you do it, and then click OK, and if you want that to be the default, fine. Now, once you get these two settings the way you want, then you can go ahead and close this. And then the next thing to do is go in and reset the template. So you right click on the screen, go to studies, all right, edit a study group, pick out the one you want and apply it again, okay? And it will ask you if you want to override it, and you say yes, okay? So that's it. By the way, since I'm on TradeStation, let me quickly go over the Bitcoin forex market. That's BTC USD. David, if you're here and watching, I know you like this. So basically, it's looking pretty good for a long position now, for the most part. We may get a little pullback, but let's just open this chart up a little bit here so you can kind of see this better. You want to put your stop way down here at the pyramid, way down low there, okay? So that's an area where you could go long on that. All right, so I think we're good there. And let me go back over to NinjaTrader. Oh, David, you are here. Excellent. David, let me know if you have any more specific questions. I didn't know if you were here. So I have TradeStation, so let me know and I can go back to that chart, okay? All right, good to have you here. All right, just so you know, one thing, when I do the live presentations on YouTube every Friday, what I've noticed is when too many charting platforms open at one time, it really affects the quality of the presentation. So when I do my YouTube Fridays, I only use one charting platform, and that's usually Ninja, because it's so easy to see with the white background. I have it set up. So just note that, okay? But David, thank you for coming here, because that's where I can open up a variety of ones, because I'm not broadcasting. So it's a lot easier for me to do that, okay? Now, I do upload the recordings to YouTube, but that's different than going live. So David, let me know, all right, if you need me to look at that again. All right, I didn't really do a super detailed analysis on it. I didn't know you were here for sure. All right, so great. All right, excellent. Well, thank you, David, good. Okay, so Al, let me get to you, okay? XL, is that, you want me to look up that one for you? Okay, so you're in already. This was a bottom fishing one. I like bottom fishing. I'm like you, I like to bottom fish. All right, so here's the situation with this. Right away, if you look at the longer term chart on the far right-hand side, this is the weekly chart over here. You've got red, red, and red. All right, so definitely in an active pyramid. So this is in a downtrend. And really, we're seeing bullish divergence, but you know, divergence can last a long time. So any long trade here is a little bit on the risky side, right? So the only thing we can hope for here is possibly we are at the beginning of what could be a retracement, which could be very profitable. So we may get a retracement here or here. And according to this, we do have a red PTF, so it should go lower again. When this PTF is red, you take the lowest low in that red area, and there, believe it or not, is about a 75% probability that that low is not the final low. And that's based on this one indicator. This indicator is a lifesaver. So you know right away it's not a buy and hold because of what this indicator is telling us. The other thing too is we got to look at the shorter time frames. So I always analyze markets using 3 time frames. I use the short-term 60-minute chart. I use the daily chart for the intermediate and the weekly chart for the long-term trend on the far right. So if we look in here, all right, we have an active pyramid. We have green here. We have no red here. So this certainly is giving us a clue at this time that we may be in this move or correction. So that's saying, all right, if you want to jump the gun and go in early, this is giving you an early entry. Let's see what the 60-minute is to see if the price is good now. Not bad, all right? So it looks like we've got a green PTF here, so we're going up to probably 250 short term. So that's going to probably break out of this area here. So for an early bird entry, I would say yes on this. I would say yes. Now, with caveats, all right? There are always caveats. One is because we're going against a very bearish long-term trend on the right, what you want to be careful about is lowering your trade size. So if you use the risk to reward calculator, you got plenty of risk to reward. I mean, if you put your stop at the bottom, look at the amount of risk to reward. It's almost like 2.5, 3 to 1. So risk to reward is not a problem. It will give you a trade size based on a stop either here, which is where I would put it, down here. And what I would do is cut that trade size in half of whatever the calculator tells you, because you're going against this. Okay, if this was green and bullish, I would say full size. But because it's going against, I would do half. That's just the way I would work it. Now, you want to put your stop at the bottom because you might have a lot of volatility, but you do want to get out in case the correction never comes and the downtrend continues sooner rather than later. Okay, so that's a good one. All right. Okay, so that's kind of that. SP, the next one, SPCE. Yeah, good. Okay, 151 for your stop looks about right on that, Al. Good. All right, SPSE. Yeah, another good bottom fisher. The thing that is good is that, you know, the pyramids, you would have made a ton of money going down. Because look, entry here, roll your stops all the way down, and you're good. Here, though, all right, this pyramid was neutralized, so that's good, all right? Similar situation as the other chart, except no red PTF. So that's a good sign. You're going against the pyramid, so you really got it, and you got a pretty strong owl. I've seen stronger, but that's not bad. So right away, you don't want to cut the position in half because you're going against the longer time frame. And I get it, because if you want to get an early entry into a correction, you have to go in early to make it worthwhile. So what's the target on this one? Let's go ahead and draw some fibs in here and see what that could be. And I'm going to use basically this area here for fibs. This is a lower low as compared to the one previous. So, you know, you're talking around 26 bucks to 38 bucks, and we're at 11. So that's a double your money. Okay, not so bad. So again, put your stop at the very, very bottom, because you want to get out if it doesn't correct. But if it corrects, you don't want to get out because of normal volatility that you can see in a correction. And so there you go. And I wouldn't move your stop until you get to like around 23.6% fib. So I would wait until it gets around $18 or $19 before being more aggressive and moving your stops. So that's kind of how I would play that. So I like both of those. They're both early birds. So cut your position in half. Now, the other thing too is if this thing really goes and we get a green here, then you can always add in some more if you want. All right, so that's kind of how I would play that. So let's say here, let me just go through these. All right, so Al, are you okay now? David, I'm going to get to you in a minute. Oh, BXP. All right, let me do BXP. BXP. I don't think I did that one, right? All right, let's see. Yeah, BXP. All right, so BXP, Okay, so BXP here. Did I do AMC? Can't remember. I don't think I might not have done AMC, but okay, BXP. So BXP has a bullish weekly, a bullish daily, and a bullish 60-minute. So there you have it. Now, the question is, where is it going? Where is this going? This is almost exactly like the Dow Jones looks like. Are we going to sell off or are we going to go higher? So if you're long, you know, and you're doing this for a longer term trade, your stop needs to go under this pyramid. If you're doing it for a shorter term situation, your stop needs to go under this one. Okay, about the same, almost exactly the same as where this pyramid is. Let's see. Let's bring up the data window here and take a look. All right, I'll put that over here. So this pyramid has a low of 118.36. This one has a low of 113.63. So obviously, not surprisingly, this one is a little bit higher by about 4 points or so. So you might want to use this one for your stop. Okay, let's take a look at your next one here. AMC. All right, this one I like a lot, and I'll tell you why I like this one. Because you've had a nice move to the downside, and now it is really springing out, breaking all support levels or resistance levels here, which were support levels on the way down. Really like this one. Now, no longer an active pyramid here. We've got a green PTF. So actually we can expect this thing to get into the 70s. We're at 27. You want to put your stop at the very bottom, Al. You have to, okay? Which means the stop's got to be far away. So, you know, that's the only thing. If you could have gotten in a little earlier when this went green back in this area here, great, okay? But I like this one. I think the risk to reward is still fine. Okay, you got a good 2.5 to 1 risk to reward in your favor. Put your stop at the bottom, and you know, you'll have a little bit lower trade size, but that's kind of the way you want to do it. All right, cool. All right, David, let me get back now to you, and let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so one quick second. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You can use the shorter time frames on that, Al, on any of these. Just, you know, it's all, you know, depending on what your intentions are as a trader, you know, are you taking a long-term trade, then you want to focus on the weekly. If it's a regular position trade, then you kind of want to focus on the daily and make sure your timing is okay on the 60. But if you're just trading really short term, like a couple days to a week or so, then use the 60-minute chart. All right, so David, let me get back to you and let me bring up TradeStation again that has the market you like to look at. All right, the weekly looks good, but the daily and hourly look bad. All right, let's just say, I don't know, the actual daily chart looks good. All right, now we've got a pyramid here. You've got a pyramid here. You've got green here. There's no red here. So no red, no red, no red, no red. Well, you have red here, but little no red here. Whoops, no red here, no red here. So this is kind of, when you take an early entry, you're gonna probably have a little bit of negative momentum still on the weekly, but you don't have a red PTF, and it's increasing. So I would go ahead and do a full boat trade, full position size, unlike what I advised Al to do, because in Al's situation on the charts we looked at before, he had a red TLM, and so, or PTF rather. And so I never like to do a full trade size when I have that red. So in this case, you've got no red PTF and you've broken out now. So this is bullish. Now, doesn't mean you won't get a correction, because look, we've got a little bit of a corrective area coming in here. So if you take the difference between here and here, it's very possible it could correct into the 40,000 mark before going higher. But if you put your stop, if you're already in it and have your stop under here, then that's not going to be a problem. So what do? Do you wait and let it pull back? You could. You certainly could, because this is bearish up here on the 60-minute, but it depends on your intentions. If you're kind of a longer term trader and you wanted to try to go in at this particular point, give me 1 second here. Pull that down. All right, you could wait until this springs up again and takes out the bearish pyramid here. So you may get a correction. You may be able to get a better price if you wait a little while, but if you're in it already, just have your stop at the bottom. Now, any questions on that? Okay, so if you're not in already, let's do this. Let's take a look. Let's open up the 60-minute chart and let's spread that out here. Okay, so if we open that chart up here, you can see we have an active pyramid coming down, right? So you probably, and you have a red owl. So, and you also have a red trend line, okay? So it's still kind of meandering. Now, if it pops back up, you can go long, but if it goes lower, you'll be glad you're not in because you can wait for a better price. Let me just even get more history on here. Too much there, okay? And we'll move this over like that. And now let's take a look and see here. So the idea here is that, and I'm going to squish it up a little bit now. So the idea here is what we want to do is, based on the 60-second chart here, we want to see where's a possible corrective area, right? So we need to go all the way back to the beginning of the trend. And give me a second while I get this all set up. Okay, so basically here's the bottom of the trend, right? And then here is, let me just move that over there. Here is the bottom, first up, first down. So we're gonna take our fibs and draw them basically from here to here. And so it's very possible that it could get between 44,360 to 41, okay, before it goes back up. So if it gets into this target range here, then you look and wait for this to go green again and put a buy order in there. So if you really want to micromanage the entry, this is how you would do it. If your situation is more, I want to say, long-term, then what you want to do on this here is really take a situation. Let me bring up some of the other charts with that. But in any case, what you want to do is, if your intentions are long-term and you don't care about micromanaging the price, then you can go in now, put your stop at the bottom and not worry about it, okay? All right, now let's see how we're doing. Exactly, David, okay? So the weekly looks good, but there's some weakness short-term, and that's evident on both the, especially the 60-minute chart, okay? Okay, that's fine. It's whatever you want to do on that. But don't be, if you go long now, don't be surprised if it pulls back a little bit. But if your stop is at the very bottom, then you're going to be okay, all right? And of course, if you get stopped out, then it is time to leave because the analysis is incorrect. So you only want to get really stopped out when your analysis is incorrect, okay? All right, so that was good. I'm so glad you're here because I wanted to make sure I spent a little time because you were so patient before, so I'm glad I could help you with that. All right, okay, well, we're at the end of the half an hour. I think we covered some really good stuff today that will help everybody. Mike, it's kind of, you know, when one person has a question, it's usually somebody else has that question too. So the recording will be on YouTube. Now, before we go, I'm going to have Jean come on. She's going to tell you about an exciting new book that we're coming out with, and a whole series of books. So Gene, when you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
Well, very exciting. Thank you, Bennett. If you wouldn't mind, since you're sharing your screen, can you just click on that link where in the chat area, everyone can see the link for the brand new book that we just released. And give me a...
Okay, give me 1 second, because I can make you the presenter if you prefer.
No, it's fine if you do it.
Okay.
Oh,
So
Wednesday Night Live. Yes, of course. Everyone join us on Wednesday Night Live.
that's one link. Let's see.
That's tonight's event. Yep.
Okay, and this is, I think, the one for the book.
Beautiful. So we just came out with a brand new book, $14.99. So quite a bargain. And then Bennett, if you could click on the look inside, we can show you that this book is different and think differently, right? That's what Steve Jobs said. It's different in that the interior of the book is 4-color, and it really dives into Bennett's strategies on money management and the essentials. And you'll notice that it's got tons of material, and it's very professionally done. The index is fantastic. So anyway, we invite you to pick up a copy on Amazon.com, and we'd love for you, of course, to write a review. And anyway, Bennett, that ends my presentation on the new book.
Okay, Gene, thank you. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So this is available in paperback now, and Gene worked real hard on it along with me, and we're excited about it. What we're trying to do with these smaller book series is isolate some key concepts. You know, usually when you pick up a book, they're about a ½ inch to an inch thick. So you got to go through a lot of material to pick out some of the key concepts. These books are all key concepts, so they're kind of short and concise, and they're really well done. Like Gene says, we did them a little, you know, over the top because we wanted to make sure you had colored charts and stuff in them if it's applicable, or at least tables or examples. So the color is kind of unique to these small book series, and we kind of wanted to make sure we did that. So we're pretty excited about that. And it's going to be available in Kindle in August. I think August 31st, it will be available in Kindle. And you can see that, I think, up in this area here. Let's see where we got Kindle here. Let me click on Kindle, and I think it will tell you August 31st. Yes. Okay. So there's that. So that'll be available in Kindle. A little bit more typesetting, I guess they have to do, but it is available in paper book now. Okay. Free delivery Friday, April 1st if you order now. All right. So that's it. Very inexpensive. Great. They're going to be great isolated topics that you can go directly to for the information you need. So we're pretty excited about this, and we're going to come out with more books as well. This is the first one because I always think money management is the most important, and then we're going to come up with other additional books on topics that we think are really pertinent for you to be successful in the markets. Okay, so that's that. All right, let me just see if there's any last minute questions here. Yes, we do have Wednesday Night Live, so definitely check us out there. And Ben Lewis likes the BTC USD. Okay, sure, absolutely. Okay. Okay, when will I have signing in your neck of the woods here in Myrtle Beach? You know, occasionally I get out to the East Coast, so I'll let you know, Ben, if I get out there. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. We had a really great turnout. A lot of people here today, which is super, and great session. And we'll be back here next week. Don't forget the recording will be on YouTube. So if you're watching YouTube right now, you're watching the recording, we'll put the links up for this book, the new book, at the bottom there, so you can have that in the remarks section. So definitely check that out. All right, well, that's it for today, and thank you so much, and we'll see you back here next week.
Serving traders worldwide since 1998, TradersCoach.com provides educational services for traders and investors alike. We have developed trading software to help traders of every level improve their skills. Our site is dedicated to providing you with all the resources, software, and educational material you need to achieve your trading goals. It is because of our years of experience, attention to detail, and our exceptional customer service that TradersCoach.com is the right choice for you. Call us today.